Hi, welcome to our math. Today I'm doing a series of videos on sets and set notation. In this one, we're looking at the number of elements in a set. So set A has 125 elements, set B has 150. The union, putting them together, has 175. And the universe, that would be everything, both inside the circles and outside, is 250. And we want to answer some questions. And so I'm using a Venn diagram to help. We don't necessarily need a Venn diagram. We can do it in other ways, but I'm a very visual person and I think the visual helps. Now I'm going to fill this out. Now the problem with just filling in numbers is it says the number of elements in A is 125, but A is comprised of this piece of the puzzle and this piece of the puzzle. The number in B is 150. Well, that's made up of this piece and this piece. There's an overlap there. And the union is made up of all three of them. So this is a really nice place to start because we know that the x plus y plus z is going to equal 175. That's all three pieces put together. Well, now we can come in and, A again is the x plus y, which means that this right here is the A. That's 125 plus z is 175. We can subtract the 125 over and find out that z, the piece that belongs to B only, is 50. There are 50 elements in this crescent piece of B. Well, if B is 150 and that's 50, we can subtract to find out that the intersection, the piece that A and B share, has 100 elements. And if A has 125 and the piece they share has 100, A alone has 25 elements. Now, again, the goggles, the union, the full kind of goggle piece, this union of the two is 175, and there's 250 in the whole universe. The whole universe is the whole box. If we take 250 and subtract 175, yes, we borrowed from that already to get a 10. We find out that there are 75 outside of the box. So we now have the pieces puzzles. Now, before I go on, I do want to note that we didn't need to do this logic. We could have used a formula. There's a formula that says the number of elements in A union B is equal to the number of elements in A plus the number of elements in B minus the number of elements in A intersection B. So that 175 is equal to 125 plus 150 minus the number of elements in A intersection B. 175 is equal to 275 minus the number of elements in A intersection B. You subtract that 275 over, we get a negative 100 is equal to negative number of elements in A intersection B, which gives us that same 100 for the intersection. So we get to the same number, we just use the formula this way. Either way works. I like the logic because sometimes the formula is forgotten and this is very logical to me. That's my visual way of doing things. The formula works great as well. Okay, now that we have the puzzle pieces in place, let's start answering the questions. We'll start with finding out how many elements are in the complement. I'm going to give you a few ways of doing this. I'm going to start off with, again, a formula. There's a formula that says the number of elements in A plus the number of elements in A's complement equal the number of elements in the universe. Well, if I subtract the number of elements of A over, I find out that the number of elements in the complement of A is the number of elements in the universe minus the number of elements in A. Well, the universe is 250. A is 125. So that means that the complement has 125 elements. I could have done it visually. If this is A, then the complement is made up of the pieces outside, the 75 plus 50, which also would have added up to 125. So I could have done this a couple of ways. There's another way. I said a few before. There's another way, and you'll see that in a couple of minutes. For the complement of B, I can do it the same way. I can either take the universe, 250, minus B, which is 150, and get 100. Or I can look at the circle and do the 75 plus 25 to get 100. Notice in either case, It's two numbers. It's not like one is better or worse. It's just two ways to approach it. All right. The next question I have is the intersection of AB, but I want the complement. Well, the intersection is this kind of, it's either Soren's eye or this leaf, this petal. It's that 100. If I want the complement, again, the complement means I can subtract from the total. The 250 minus 100 is 150. I could do it by adding the pieces. I could do the 75 plus 25 plus 50 to get me 150. So again, I have the two choices, subtracting from the total because it's only one piece, or adding everything else. Though this seems faster, looking at it, it's easy to see the three you need to add, and adding three numbers again is not necessarily that hard. And so sometimes it's easier to add the three because you can really see what's going on. But there's one more way to approach these problems, and that is I could set up a set and say that A is set up of the elements 25 and 100. And A's complement is set up of the pieces that are outside, which is 50 and 75. B is set up of the pieces puzzle 50 and 100. And B's complement is set up of the pieces 25 and 75. And now you can see from A's complement, I could just add these two together. For B's complement, I could just add these two together. And for the intersection, I could find the intersection of these two, A and B, which would have been the 100. And then for the complement, I have to have the universe, which is the 25, 50, 75, 100. And realize that I need to add the three pieces, the other pieces. So I can use set notation. So for the rest of the questions on this packet, I am going to use that set notation because it makes it a little simpler than trying to use the Venn diagram with shading. Okay, so for A complement union B complement, A complement is the 50, 75, and I want the union with B complement, which is the 25, 75. And union means I'm adding the pieces together. I don't write the 75 twice, so I have the 25, the 75, and the 50. And because I'm looking for the total number, I can either add these together, again, or subtract from 250. So I can either say 25 plus 75 plus 50 to get to 150. Or I could have looked at the piece that was missing, 25, 75, 50, and I could have done the 250 minus 100, doing the idea of taking out the piece we're missing. Okay, A intersection B complement. So A is the 25, 100. Intersection B complement is 25, 75. The intersection of these are what they have in common. So what they have in common is 25. But I want the complement of that. Now, with the complement, it might be really simple to think of it as this way. The complement means 250 minus 25 is 225. Or you might take the complement and write 50, 75, 100, and just add up these pieces. 50 plus 75 plus 100 is 225. All right, next, A intersection B complement. A is 25, 100. Intersection B complement is 25, 75. The intersection of these is 25. All right, A complement is 50, 75. Intersection B, which is 50, 100. So the intersection of these is 50. And the union of these is 25 and 50. So 25 plus 50 is 75. And then the very last question is the number of elements in the complement of the universe. Well, if the universe is everything, then the complement is nothing. So the number of elements in the complement is 0. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my Facebook page, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks!